we found a sample, and it was, again, we're exploring in places where there were rivers and where there were lakes. And much as on Earth, we think that that's where we'd see signs of ancient life on Mars.
Scientists are officially terrified of what they found under Mars. We are going to reveal the shocking new data from the planet's core. But you won't believe the strange signals coming from a hidden ocean or the massive, city-sized caves nobody can explain. This isn't just about finding microbes. This is about a discovery so profound it could rewrite human history. The truth of what's lurking miles beneath the red sand is finally coming out, and it's worse than we thought. What many overlooked is that Mars isn't dead. It's just been waiting. Mars's shocking secret. The story begins with a machine called InSight. This wasn't a rover, it was a listener. NASA sent it to Mars for one reason: to listen. It gently placed a seismometer on the dust, a super-sensitive ear, and waited. It was supposed to be a simple mission: listen for Marsquakes and map the planet's inside. But the quakes it heard, they weren't normal. You see, on Earth, quakes are usually sharp and quick. They rip through the crust and fade. But on Mars, the rumbles were different. They were muffled, long, and low. Some lasted for hours. It was as if they were traveling through something dense, something strange, something that wasn't just dead rock. Over its mission, InSight detected over 1,300 of these quakes. The biggest was a magnitude 5, a monster that rattled the entire planet. Scientists were thrilled, but when they mapped where these quakes came from, a terrifying picture emerged. Deep beneath the surface, miles down, they found the planet's scars. They call them fossilized impacts. When Mars was young, over 4 billion years ago, it was battered by giant asteroids. These impacts were so violent, they melted the rock, creating massive, superheated blobs, some over 600 miles deep. And here's the catch: these blobs are still there, buried in the mantle. But the thing nobody tells you is, some of them are reflecting the seismic waves in ways that just don't make sense. The data is weird. This is where the story gets crazy, and many people are losing their minds over it. Online forums are exploding with theories. People are claiming these aren't fossilized impacts. They're too regular. The readings show they are too metallic. They claim these are the massive, mangled wrecks of ancient starships, UFOs that perished in a long-forgotten war and were buried by billions of years of dust. The quakes, they say, aren't quakes at all. They are the ancient power cores of these buried ships, still pulsing with energy. A rhythmic heartbeat from a planet we thought was dead. Now, scientists publicly dismiss this. Of course they do. They point to the core. InSight's data proved for the first time that Mars has a liquid core, just like Earth. It's a swirling ball of iron and nickel, over 2,700 degrees Fahrenheit. That's hotter than the inside of a volcano. This core is hot, and that heat has to go somewhere. It rises up in giant, invisible towers called geothermal plumes. Think of them as giant, underground volcanoes that never erupt. They just stew for billions of years, heating the rock around them. And this is what has scientists officially terrified. Because what happens when you have intense heat under a frozen planet? You get water. InSight's data, combined with new models, points to massive, hidden aquifers. Not frozen ice, but liquid water, briny, super salty water, almost 7 miles down. Scientists estimate there could be an entire ocean's worth of water, not on the surface, but trapped inside the rock, warm by the planet's secret fire. A warm, dark, ancient ocean, hidden for billions of years. But what's in that water is the real nightmare. What is 3I Atlas hiding? It's not just a theory. Scientists have found one of these hidden oceans. At the planet's north pole, there's a vast, icy desert called Planum Boreum. It's one of the coldest, most desolate places in the solar system. A few years ago, the European Space Agency pointed a special ground-penetrating radar at it, a machine designed to see through the ice. What they got back was a WTF moment for the entire scientific community. Under nearly a mile of solid, frozen carbon dioxide and water ice, there wasn't rock. The radar signal bounced off something smooth, something liquid. This wasn't a puddle, it was a lake. A giant lake of super salty, briny water measuring more than 12 miles across. And it's not alone. In 2024, scientists reanalyzed the data and found more. Dozens of slicks, more patches of liquid buried under ancient, layered dunes of ice and dust. Now, on Earth, where do we find life in the most extreme, impossible places? Miles down in the ocean, in total darkness, next to volcanic vents. Life that doesn't need sunlight. It eats chemicals. It thrives on sulfur and hydrogen. NASA's 2025 models predict this exact scenario for Mars. The geothermal plumes are the engines. The buried lakes are the habitat. They predict that microbes could be down there right now, shielded from the deadly radiation that bakes the surface, happily munching on the hydrogen and methane bubbling up from the planet's warm gut. But here's where the official story ends, and the terrifying one begins. Many people are crazy about this one. A viral report citing a leaked internal memo claims a deep space probe, designated 3I Atlas, was performing a routine scan of Planum Boreum. Suddenly, its communications cut out, just for a few seconds. When the signal came back online, the probe had registered a reading that was immediately classified. The claim? A massive pulse of energy, not geothermal but biological, came from the center of that underground lake. The wild theory isn't about microbes. It's about a swarm, a hive intelligence, something bioluminescent, something big, disturbed by the radar pings we've been sending down. This theory claims the pulse was a warning. This sounds insane, right? But then you look at what the Perseverance rover is finding hundreds of miles away. It's drilling into rocks at a place called Chayava Falls, and those rocks are speckled with complex organic materials. These are the building blocks of life. They are undeniable proof that this area was a 3-billion-year-old lakebed, and it was teeming with potential. The evidence is clear. Life was on Mars. What if it never left? What if it just went down? The terror isn't just finding life. It's the question of what that life has become. What does life turn into after 4 billion years of evolution in total darkness, under crushing pressure in a salty chemical soup? But these hidden lakes aren't even the biggest discovery. The planet is hiding something far, far larger: Mars's buried cities. Let's talk about Valles Marineris. Calling it the Grand Canyon of Mars is an insult. To put it mildly, that comparison is a joke. The Grand Canyon is about 1 mile deep. Valles Marineris is over 4 miles deep. The Grand Canyon is 277 miles long. Valles Marineris is over 2,500 miles long. It's a continent-spanning gash, a scar so vast it nearly tore the planet in half. For years, orbiters have been flying over this massive canyon, snapping pictures of its colossal cliffs, and they found holes. Not little caves. They found giant black voids, perfect dark circles that the sunlight just does not touch. Scientists believe they are lava tubes, vast hollow tunnels left behind by ancient massive volcanoes that erupted from the nearby Tharsis region. But the scale is what's terrifying. These aren't just tunnels. These are underground subways. Some are estimated to be so vast you could fit entire cities inside them. Inside these tubes, the temperature would be stable. The deadly surface radiation would be blocked. They are, quite literally, the perfect shelters. Naturally, the theorists are having a field day. They claim these are not natural. The perfect geometries seen in some orbital photos, the strange straight angles of the honeycomb fractures in the Arcadia region. They say these aren't from ice or volcanoes. They're the collapsed ruins of a massive, ancient, underground grid. They claim the famous Face on Mars and the pyramids of Cydonia aren't just hills. They are the tips of giant, eroded ziggurats, structures so ancient their foundations go miles down, connecting to this hidden network of tunnels. This is where science and madness seem to meet, because scientists just found something in a Martian meteorite that makes this all more plausible. They found a mineral called tridymite. The thing nobody tells you about tridymite is that it cannot be formed by a normal volcano. It requires unbelievable temperatures, over 1,600 degrees Fahrenheit, and massive, massive amounts of water. It's the signature of a superheated steam explosion. This single mineral find paints a horrifying new picture of Mars's past. The planet wasn't just wet, it was drenched. Quantum AI, sifting through InSight's seismic waves, has now unveiled what scientists are calling a wet mantle. What does that mean? It means the rock itself, deep inside the planet, is 3% water by volume. This is a wow factor that is hard to even imagine. If you could somehow squeeze the planet Mars like a sponge, it would release enough water to flood the entire planet Earth 3 times over. So let's put this together. You have a planet with a wet mantle. That planet gets slammed by asteroids, which heats the core. The core sends up geothermal plumes, which turn that wet rock into superheated steam. That steam explodes upward, carving out these city-sized tunnels, and then it all freezes over. It created the perfect network of pressurized, stable, underground shelters. It's the perfect hiding place. But what if something was smart enough to use those shelters? The quarantine problem. Let's be brutally honest for a minute. Why are scientists terrified? It's not just about what we might find. It's about what we might bring back. You see, every mission we send to Mars, every rover, every lander is sterilized. They are baked in giant ovens for hours at hundreds of degrees. They are wiped down, scrubbed, and sealed. But the thing is, Gisong, nothing is 100% perfect. What if the Perseverance rover or a future drill punches through that mile of ice and dips into one of those briny 12-mile-wide lakes? What if it sucks up a sample and it's not sterile? This is the Andromeda strain scenario. It's the ultimate doomsday plot. We could bring back a microbe that has zero relation to Earth-based life, a life form that evolved in a chemical soup in the dark for 4 billion years. Our immune systems, our entire planet's ecosystem, would have no idea what to do with it. It could be a global-level extinction event, an invisible plague we never saw coming, all brought home in a tiny, sterilized metal tube. The terror is that in our hunt for life, we might bring back the end of our own. But what many overlooked is the other direction. What if our microbes, the tiny bacteria that survived the baking and the 9-month trip in space, get into their ocean? We always thought we were the good guys, the explorers, the brave scientists boldly going where no one has gone before. But we were wrong. We could be the invaders. We could be the monsters. Right now, our probes and our rovers are crawling over landscapes that aren't ours. And in our rush to find something, anything, we could be the apocalypse. We could wipe out a 4 billion-year-old ecosystem in a matter of days. We could carry Earth-borne bacteria that acts like a plague, sterilizing an entire world. We could destroy the only other life in the solar system before we even knew it was there. This discovery is terrifying. It's terrifying because it might be the answer to the darkest, most unsettling question in all of human history: the Great Filter. The Great Filter is the theory that tries to explain that deafening cosmic silence. In a galaxy with 200 billion stars and trillions of planets, why are we alone? Where is everybody? The theory says that some step in evolution, from the first spark of life, from ooze to intelligence, is so hard, so impossible, that almost nobody makes it past. For decades, we've been hoping, we've been praying, we've told ourselves that the Great Filter must be behind us. Maybe the hard part was becoming multicellular, maybe it was developing language, maybe we are the first, maybe we are the only ones who won the cosmic lottery. But the new data, the readings coming back from the ice caps, suggest something far more sinister. What if the filter isn't behind us? What if it's in front of us? What if the filter is a planetary catastrophe? What if life always gets wiped out when its planet's atmosphere fails? When the radiation pours in? When the surface becomes a sterile, frozen hell? This is the new, horrifying possibility. What if life doesn't die? What if it just hides? What if the only life that survives is the stuff that's smart enough or lucky enough to hide underground, to burrow deep beneath the ice into subterranean oceans warmed by the planet's core? If this is true, it changes everything. It would mean the galaxy isn't empty. It's just hidden. It means that in every dead solar system, in every frozen rock we've dismissed as lifeless, there might be unseen inhabitants. They are lurking in the dark, in the water, under the ice, evolving, growing, waiting. They would be ancient. They would be patient. They would have survived the end of their own world. They would be nothing like us. And this is why that mysterious pulse from the 3i Atlas probe is so chilling. You didn't hear about this on the news. It was buried, classified. The probe was making a flyby of a dead moon scanning the ice. And then it happened. A single massive directed energy pulse. It wasn't natural. It wasn't a solar flare. It came from below the surface. A microbe can't generate a massive energy pulse. A simple organism can't do that. But a collective intelligence, a hive mind that has been evolving in total darkness for longer than humans have even existed, an intelligence that sees in sonar, that communicates in electricity, that has been waiting in the quiet for 1 billion years, that could. They aren't just surviving, they are thriving, they are listening, and now they know we are here. The final readings from Mars aren't just data, they aren't just a scientific curiosity, they are a mirror. They show us a world that died, and they show us the things that refuse to die with it. We aren't just looking at aliens, we are looking at our own possible, terrifying future. We are staring at the survivors. Mars is not a new home. So, what did scientists find beneath Mars's surface that terrifies the world? You need to brace yourself for this, because the answer is going to change everything you think you know about our solar system. For decades, we've been told Mars is a dead, frozen, rusted-out rock, a tomb. It's a lie. The truth is, scientists found a planet that is not dead. It's not even dormant. It's hiding. In the last 24 months, the data has been streaming in, and the picture it paints is terrifying. First, they found the heat. Using seismic data from the InSight lander, scientists confirm Mars has a liquid boiling core, just like Earth's. It's over 2,700 degrees Fahrenheit. This isn't a cold, dead core, it's a furnace, and that furnace is pumping out heat. They found geothermal heat plumes, massive columns of heat rising like ghosts from the mantle. These plumes are creating hotspots just miles beneath the surface. And where there's heat, there's water. Scientists confirm the Martian mantle is wet, not damp, wet. It holds, and this is a conservative estimate, 3 Earth oceans worth of hidden water. But that's not the scary part. The scary part is at the poles, buried under just 1 mile of ice. Deep eye-penetrating radar found them. Not 1, not 2, but multiple liquid water lakes. Lakes the size of cities, miles wide, kept liquid and warm by that geothermal heat. Think about that. Liquid water, geothermal heat, and darkness. The 3 ingredients for life. People watching this are probably wondering, is this real? Is this all happening overnight? The thing is, this data has been trickling in for years from InSight, from the Mars Express orbiter, from Perseverance. So why are we only hearing about it now? Because it's only now, using new quantum AI models and deep radar analysis, that they are finally putting the puzzle together. The AI is connecting data points that human analysts missed for decades. Or is that just the cover story? The unofficial story, the one whispered on encrypted forums and in leaked memos, is that they've known. They've known for years. The data was too clean, too perfect. They've just been waiting, preparing us. A slow drip of disclosure to soften the blow. Because the rest of the data? It's the part they don't want to talk about. They found the tunnels. The official story calls them lava tubes. And sure, some of them are. But the new radar maps show something else. They show perfect geometries, tunnels that run for hundreds of miles in a perfectly straight line, tunnels that meet at perfect 90-degree angles, tunnels that form in some areas a grid. Lava does not do that. Geology does not do that. They found vast, city-sized caverns, the perfect bunkers shielded from the deadly radiation on the surface. And inside those bunkers, signals. The official story is that we might find microbes. The unofficial story is that we already have. A leaked report detailed a persistent signal coming from the largest subglacial lake. The scientists who found it first called it an anomaly. Then they realized it was rhythmic. It wasn't a random geological pulse. It was a heartbeat, a steady repeating signal. Thump, 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 thump. The signal is still there, and some analysts claim it's getting stronger. This points to something more, something that survived. A 2025 scientific paper modeled what would happen to life on Mars as it lost its atmosphere. As the radiation baked the surface and the oceans boiled away, life would have only one option: go down. The models show that extremophiles, tough, terrifying organisms, could easily survive 12 miles beneath the surface. 12 miles. They would be evolving in total isolation in those warm, briny aquifers for billions of years. On Earth, in just 4 billion years, life went from single-celled ooze to us. What did life become on Mars? What does 4 billion years of evolution in a dark, high-pressure, underground ocean create? The terror isn't little green men. The terror is that we're not prepared for what's really down there. This isn't a shadow biosphere of bacteria. This is an apex biosphere. Think about it. On Earth, the smartest creature, us, lives on the surface. What if on Mars, the smartest, strongest creature evolved underground? What if it's not a creature at all? What if, in those billions of years, life networked, became a single, colossal intelligence? A planet-spanning mind living in the water, a literal world mind that is the planet. And here is the wildest theory of all, the one that keeps military commanders awake at night. Why did Mars die? The official story is solar winds. The wild theory? That the surface of Mars was destroyed, wiped clean in an ancient, unimaginable war. The survivors fled. They went down, deep down, and they've been there ever in, waiting. They are not microbes. They are the descendants of a civilization that is billions of years older than our own. The terror isn't an alien invasion. The terror is that we are poking at a planet that isn't dead. It's just waiting. We're sending drills. We're blasting radar pulses into its hidden oceans. We're listening with seismometers. We are knocking on the door. We're ringing the doorbell of a civilization that has every reason to hate visitors. What happens when something answers? The discoveries aren't just scary. They're a warning. Mars isn't a new home. It might be an occupied one. And the owners are still there. Thanks for watching. Hit that subscribe button and ring the bell. The real question is, are we exploring Mars or are we trespassing? What do you think is really waiting for us down there?